think we find it quite difficult in this country to talk freely and comfortably about sex with our children because we ourselves don't have a very good grounding in it. Schools, certainly perhaps in the last generation before that, were not very good at sex education. I don't think they're very good now, but they're getting better. But we don't have that background, perhaps. And it means that because we maybe didn't talk to our parents about sex, we don't have a model of how to do it. So we have to start from scratch. We have to recognise then that this is not about being able to give all the facts. You're not necessarily the person who is, you don't have all that bit of information at your fingertips. But instead of feeling embarrassed about that and feeling, well, I can't open the subject because I can't always answer all the questions, the phrase that I always like to remember is, I don't know, let's go and find out. You can find out with your child if they ask you a question that you find awkward. Go find it out. Find it out on the internet, find it out in books. If you feel embarrassed and you find yourself blushing, hey, there's nothing wrong with actually saying, I found that a bit difficult because I never talked about it with my parents, but that doesn't matter. Let's still go and see what the answer is and let's talk it through. So that you're seeing yourself as not the person with the answers, you're seeing yourself as the facilitator in your child having those questions answered. And it's not about giving a lecture, a one-time lecture, the sex lecture. It's about answering all those questions that come up. And it's not about facts all the time. Because, yes, children want to know about conception and fertilisation and contraception and, where do babies come from when they're little and, why do people have blonde hair or dark hair in a family when they're a bit older? It's not just about those questions that they want to ask. It's actually also about, well, how do I feel about it? Why do I feel embarrassed? Am I going to feel that I want to do this with someone? Am I going to feel that I don't want to do this with someone? When is the right time for me? Am I attracted to people of the opposite sex or am I attracted to people of the same sex? How do I feel and what are my limits? That's the important bit. And I think those are things that you can't necessarily make hard and fast rules about. You may find yourself setting down a rule of how people ought to behave and realising you yourself break those rules. For instance, no sex before marriage. Oops, actually I did have sex before marriage. Honesty, I think, is quite important with your children. You're not talking about your sex life or their sex life, but you are talking about your sexual attitudes and your sexual feelings and their sexual feelings. And that's about really being a little bit more comfortable about it. It's giving them the confidence to feel they're allowed. So what you are is not the parent who has all the answers, but you're the askable parent. The parent whom they can ask questions of, know that there's nothing wrong with them in having those questions, and knowing that those are things that should be discussed, can be discussed, and somewhere along the line, you together, as it were, will come to a conclusion. Because you're always passing messages of your attitudes about sex to your children, whether it's verbal or whether it's just by showing you're embarrassed and find it difficult. So much better to get over that embarrassment and say to them, this is something we can talk about.